I think when the divine is awakened in us, it starts in our heart. It's not the end, but people who really connect to it feel a level of love they've never felt before. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the life you've always dreamed of. Not the one shaped by others' expectations, but the one that truly resonates with your soul. Maybe it's a life filled with peace, purpose, and freedom. Or perhaps it's one where every step feels perfectly aligned with your authentic self. Whatever that vision may be, here's the truth. It's not a far-off fantasy. That life is already within reach, patiently waiting for you to awaken your inner power and embrace it. Awakening to your divine power. The first step to activate your divine power begins with a profound realization. Reality is not fixed. It's not some immovable force you must bow down to. Reality is fluid, ever-changing, and shaped by the energy you bring to it. This understanding isn't new. For centuries, mystics, sages, and even modern scientists have spoken of this truth in their own ways. The ancient yogis called it Maya, the illusion of the material world. Quantum physicists call it the observer effect, the idea that simply observing a particle can change its state. If reality can shift, then the question becomes, who or what is shaping it? The answer is simple but powerful. You are. It is believed that our thoughts, words, and beliefs can influence our personal experiences and interactions with the world around us. This isn't just wishful thinking or new age fluff. It's the way energy, intention, and consciousness interact with the world around us. To fully grasp this, let's turn to an old parable. There's a story of a sculptor who was known for creating lifelike statues that seemed to breathe with vitality. When asked how he managed to create such masterpieces, he said, "I see the figure already existing within the stone. My only task is to remove what does not belong." Your divine power works the same way. The life you dream of isn't something you create from scratch. It's already there, waiting for you to uncover it. But to reveal it, you must remove the blocks, the false beliefs, and the limiting patterns that keep you from seeing the truth. One of the most common blocks comes from forgetting who you really are. You're not your job, your failures, your titles, or even your past. Those are just layers, like the stone the sculptor chips away. Beneath them lies your true self, divine, powerful, and limitless. Yet the world has a way of convincing us otherwise. From a young age, we're told to fit into boxes, to shrink ourselves, to play by rules that don't serve our highest potential. Over time, we begin to believe those lies, and we forget the infinite power we hold within. But forgetting doesn't mean the power is gone. It's still there, waiting to be awakened. Awakening begins with awareness. You must begin to notice the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. Are those stories empowering or limiting? Are they rooted in fear or love? Take a moment to reflect on this. When was the last time you believed in your own magic? Not the kind of magic you see in movies, but the magic of being alive, of having the power to create, heal, and transform. That magic is your divine power, and the more you believe in it, the stronger it becomes. This belief isn't about blind faith. It's about trust. Trusting that the universe is abundant and that you are a part of that abundance. Many spiritual traditions teach that we are not separate from the divine but are, in fact, an expression of it. In Christianity, there's the idea that humans are made in the image of God. In Hinduism, the Atman soul is said to be a spark of the divine Brahman. In indigenous traditions, there's often a deep understanding that humans are interconnected with all of creation. When you embrace this truth, something profound happens. You stop seeing life as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening through you. You realize that the same power that moves the stars and stirs the ocean lives within you. And with that realization, you begin to see that nothing is impossible. But divine power isn't about control. It's not about forcing your will on the world. True power comes from alignment. It's about aligning your energy, thoughts, and actions with the flow of the universe. This is what the Taoists call Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. When you're in this state, you don't have to push or struggle. Life begins to unfold with ease, and opportunities seem to appear like magic. However, alignment requires clarity. You can't align with what you want if you're unclear about it. Too often, people focus on what they don't want, and in doing so, they unknowingly give energy to it. To activate your divine power, you must focus on what you desire with unwavering clarity. Imagine holding a magnifying glass under the sun. If you keep moving the glass around, the light scatters and nothing happens. But if you hold it steady, the concentrated light becomes so powerful it can start a fire. Your energy works the same way. When you direct it with clarity and intention, it becomes a force that can shift reality. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how to uncover and remove the hidden blocks that keep your power dormant. But for now, hold on to this truth. Your divine power is real. It's alive within you, ready to be awakened. When you awaken it, you become the sculptor of your own life, revealing the masterpiece that was always meant to be. Forgetting who you really are is one of the greatest challenges you'll face in life. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a slow process, a gradual separation from the essence of your being. The world around you, its expectations, judgments, and noise, plays a significant role in making you lose sight of your divine self. When you forget who you are, you start living life on autopilot, caught in patterns that don't serve you and beliefs that block your energy. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, often called the father of existentialism, spoke deeply about this idea. Kierkegaard believed that most people live their lives in despair because they are disconnected from their true selves. He called this the sickness unto death, not a physical illness, but a spiritual one. A deep sense of unease that comes from forgetting our authentic nature. Kierkegaard argued that society pressures individuals to conform, to adopt identities that aren't their own, and to pursue goals that don't truly matter to them. Over time, this disconnect creates a false self, a version of you shaped by fear, external expectations, and the need to fit in. Kierkegaard's solution was simple yet profound. Reconnect with the self by seeking authenticity. This isn't about finding yourself in some external sense, but realizing that you are already whole and complete. The true self isn't something you create. It's something you uncover when you strip away all that isn't real. To understand how easily we forget who we are, let's turn to a famous psychological study, the Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted by Philip Zimbardo in 1971. This study is one of the most striking examples of how external circumstances can cause people to lose touch with their authentic selves. In the experiment, a group of college students was divided into two roles: prisoners and guards. They were placed in a simulated prison environment and instructed to act out their assigned roles. What happened next shocked everyone, including Zimbardo himself. Within days, the participants became completely absorbed in their roles. The guards started exhibiting abusive and authoritarian behavior, while the prisoners became passive, submissive, and even traumatized. What's most striking about the Stanford Prison Experiment is how quickly the participants forgot who they were outside the experiment. They weren't inherently cruel or submissive people, but the environment and the roles they were given reshaped their behavior and self-perception. This mirrors what happens in everyday life. From the moment you're born, you're assigned roles: student, employee, parent, friend, and each of these comes with expectations. Over time, these roles can become so deeply ingrained that you begin to believe they define you. You forget that beneath those roles, you are something far greater, a divine being with infinite potential. The lesson here is that forgetting who you are doesn't mean you lose your true self forever. It just means you've been conditioned to focus on the surface, the masks, and the noise. Reclaiming your true self requires stepping back and questioning the roles you've taken on. Are they serving you, or are they confining you? To rediscover who you are, you must create moments of stillness and reflection. Kierkegaard believed that silence was essential for connecting with the divine within us. In the same way, the participants in Zimbardo's experiment might have rediscovered their true selves if they'd had the space to step away from the prison environment and reflect. This reconnection begins with self-awareness. When you feel disconnected or stuck, ask yourself, who am I beyond my roles, beyond my circumstances, beyond my fears? This isn't an easy question to answer, but even asking it starts to dissolve the illusion of the false self. In the next part, we'll explore how to build a life that nurtures your divine energy, allowing you to live in alignment with your true self. For now, remember, forgetting who you are is part of the human experience, but you also have the power to remember. And when you do, your energy will begin to flow freely, transforming not just your life but the world around you. Now, what's most interesting is how, throughout history, there have been individuals who seem to tap into an extraordinary force within themselves, transcending the limitations of their time and reshaping the world. The historical transcendence of divine power shows that they were not born with superhuman abilities or divine favor handed to them. They activated their own divine power, transforming their inner potential into a tangible reality. Their stories remind us that this power is available to all of us if we are willing to awaken it. Take Joan of Arc, for example. She was a simple peasant girl living in a time when women had little voice or agency. Yet Joan claimed to hear divine guidance, a force that compelled her to lead the French army during the 100 Years' War. Her faith in this higher power and in herself gave her the courage to do what seemed impossible. Though her life was tragically short, her legacy endures as a testament to what can happen when we align with something greater than ourselves. Joan's story is more than a historical event. It is a profound example of activating divine power. Her ability to transcend fear, doubt, and societal norms came from an unshakable belief in her purpose. She didn't see herself as separate from the divine. Instead, she allowed herself to become a vessel for it. Similarly, Mahatma Gandhi is another figure who activated this divine power, but in a very different way. Gandhi's strength lay not in the force of arms, but in the force of truth and nonviolence. He believed in the principle of ahimsa, a concept in Indian philosophy that means non-harm. By committing to this belief, Gandhi inspired millions and led India to independence without resorting to violence. Gandhi's power was not outwardly aggressive. It was deeply rooted in inner clarity and moral conviction. His ability to remain steadfast in the face of opposition came from his alignment with a higher truth. He once said, "You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no result." This reflects a fundamental truth about divine power. It is not passive. It requires action. But that action must come from a place of alignment and authenticity. The transcendence these figures achieved was not unique to their times or circumstances. It came from their ability to activate what lies within all of us. The divine spark, the energy that connects us to the universe and to each other. This is not a power reserved for saints or heroes. It is accessible to anyone willing to seek it. But how does one begin this process? The answer is deceptively simple yet profoundly challenging. You must first believe that the power exists within you. This belief is the foundation, the key that unlocks the door. As the ancient philosopher Plotinus wrote, "Withdraw into yourself and look, and if you do not yet see yourself beautiful, then act as does the creator of a statue." Plotinus taught that we are sculptors of our own souls. By chipping away at the unnecessary, we reveal the divine form hidden beneath. So how can you follow in the footsteps of those who have activated their divine power? Start by listening. The world is full of noise, and it can be easy to lose touch with your inner voice. Silence the distractions and tune in to what your soul is trying to tell you. Joan of Arc listened to her visions. Gandhi listened to his conscience. Both were guided by something beyond logic, something that spoke to their deepest truth. Next, take action. Divine power is not something that waits for perfect circumstances. It moves through you when you move toward your purpose. Even small actions can lead to big changes. You just need to take that first step. The lives of these historical figures show us that the path is rarely clear or easy, but the journey itself is what shapes us into who we are meant to be. Finally, remember that divine power is not about personal gain. It is about connection to yourself, to others, and to the energy of the universe. When you act from this place of connection, your power becomes limitless because it is no longer just yours. It becomes a force for good, a reflection of the divine energy that flows through all things. As you begin to activate your own divine power, think of those who came before you, not as distant heroes, but as reminders of what is possible. Their stories are proof that this power is real, and it is waiting for you to awaken it. What will you create when you finally tap into it? The answer is yours to discover, and it begins with a single step. The divine resides within us. One of the most fascinating mystics to ever walk the earth was Meister Eckhart, a German theologian and philosopher from the 13th century. Though his teachings were rooted in Christianity, his insights were universal and transcendent, touching on truths that go beyond any single tradition. Meister Eckhart spoke of the divine power within us in a way that resonates with the theme of activating the energy that shapes our reality. Eckhart believed that the divine was not something separate from us, but something already present, dwelling deep within our very being. He referred to this divine presence as the spark of God, a piece of the infinite embedded in every soul. For Eckhart, finding this spark was not about striving for something outside of yourself. Instead, it was about stripping away everything that blocks it: fear, ego, attachment, and doubt. He often used the metaphor of the seed to explain this process. A seed already contains everything it needs to become a tree. Similarly, within each of us exists the potential for divine power to grow and transform our lives. But just as a seed needs water, sunlight, and soil to thrive, we need inner work, trust, and self-awareness to awaken this power. One of Eckhart's most famous teachings was, "The soul is not at home in time, but in eternity." This means that our truest essence, our divine self, is not bound by the limitations of the physical world. Time, space, and material constraints are illusions that can distract us from our infinite potential. When you tap into this truth, you begin to understand that the power to shape your reality comes from aligning with this eternal part of yourself. Eckhart's teachings are profound but simple. Stop clinging to what is temporary, release the need to control every external circumstance, and instead, focus on the divine energy within. This inner shift changes everything. It's not about forcing the world to conform to your desires. It's about becoming so aligned with your divine nature that the world naturally responds to your vibration. A story often associated with Eckhart's philosophy involves a traveler who comes across a monk meditating in the forest. The traveler, overwhelmed by his own struggles and seeking answers, asks the monk, "How do I find God?" The monk simply smiles and replies, "Stop looking. The message is clear. God, or divine power, is not something you search for out there. It is something you realize within." This idea of realizing divine power within can seem abstract, but Eckhart insisted that it was as natural as breathing. He taught that the practice of stillness, truly being present with yourself, is the key. When you quiet the mind and allow yourself to simply be, you create space for that divine spark to rise to the surface. Eckhart's life itself was a testament to this truth. Despite facing criticism from religious authorities of his time, he remained unwavering in his teachings, confident in the knowledge that his work was guided by something greater than himself. His legacy has endured for centuries because his wisdom speaks to a universal longing, the desire to reconnect with the sacred energy within. To learn from Eckhart is to remember that the divine is not an unreachable ideal. It is a reality waiting to be realized. You don't need to change who you are. You need to uncover who you've always been. In doing so, you activate the power to shape your reality, not through force, but through presence and alignment. Now, let's look at what mystics have to tell us about divinity. Throughout history, stories of saints and mystics have captivated us, not just because of their wisdom, but because they seem to tap into a power that transcends human understanding. Their lives weren't just about seeking the divine. They embodied it in ways that left an indelible mark on the world. These figures understood something profound about the universe, and their actions serve as sacred secrets to activating your own divine power. Take Saint Teresa of Avila, a Spanish mystic whose visions and writings have inspired seekers for centuries. She didn't just speak of divine connection. She lived it, pouring her energy into the spiritual practices that deepened her bond with the divine. Saint Teresa described moments of ecstasy where her soul felt completely united with God. What set her apart was her commitment to surrender. She saw her body as a vessel for divine energy, and through prayer, meditation, and service, she allowed that energy to flow freely. Teresa's approach teaches us that surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the ego's grip on control. This surrender creates space for something greater to move through you. It's not about waiting for a miracle to happen. It's about becoming the channel through which miracles occur. Another figure who unlocked divine power was Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet and mystic. Rumi's words are often interpreted as evocative and spiritual, inviting us to reflect on our true nature. But his life wasn't always radiant. He faced immense personal loss, including the death of his beloved spiritual teacher, Shams of Tabriz. Instead of succumbing to despair, Rumi turned his grief into a doorway for transformation. He danced, he sang, and he wrote poetry that still vibrates with divine energy today. Rumi believed that divine power is awakened through love, not just romantic love, but a love so expansive that it dissolves all separation. For him, the heart was the key. He would say, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form." His teachings remind us that divine power isn't about avoiding pain. It's about transmuting it into something that heals and uplifts. One of the sacred secrets to activating divine power is recognizing that struggle and transformation go hand in hand. In Christianity, this truth is reflected in the life of Jesus. His divine power didn't manifest in opulence or dominance. It revealed itself in humility, service, and sacrifice. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, performed miracles for the sick and marginalized, and ultimately surrendered to the cross. Each act was rooted in love and a deep awareness of his connection to something greater than himself. The story of Jesus shows us that divine power isn't reserved for the extraordinary. It's found in the everyday acts of compassion, forgiveness, and courage. It's in choosing love when fear tempts you and in standing for truth when the world asks you to conform. This truth also resonates with the teachings of the Buddha. After years of extreme asceticism, the Buddha realized that denying himself wasn't the way to enlightenment. Sitting under the Bodhi tree, he found that divine power lies in balance. He let go of striving and surrendered to the present moment. In that stillness, he awakened. The Buddha's story reminds us that divine power isn't something you achieve through force. It comes from aligning with the natural flow of life, from recognizing that you are already connected to everything. This connection is what allows energy to move freely through you, transforming your reality from the inside out. Throughout cultures and traditions, there is a recurring theme. Divine power isn't something external to be chased. It's something internal to be awakened. The activation of this power often requires courage. The courage to face your shadows, to dismantle beliefs that limit you, and to step into the unknown with faith. But how do we begin to access this power in our own lives? The sacred secrets lie in aligning your actions, thoughts, and emotions with the energy of the divine. Practices like meditation, prayer, and breathwork are tools that help you cultivate this alignment. They allow you to quiet the noise of the outside world and tune into the frequency of your soul. Breath is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the physical and the spiritual. It is the rhythm that connects us to life itself, the pulse that carries the energy of existence through every cell in our body. Yet, for something so fundamental, we often overlook its power. Breath is more than survival. It is a gateway to unlocking divine connection and sustaining the energy that shapes our reality. In yogic traditions, this understanding of breath is at the heart of pranayama, a Sanskrit term meaning the control or expansion of life force through breathing techniques. It is said that when you learn to master your breath, you learn to master your life. This is not just a poetic phrase. It is a truth that has been practiced and proven by mystics, sages, and seekers across millennia. The ancient yogis believed that the breath carries prana, the vital life energy that animates all things. Prana is not confined to the air. It is a subtle force that exists everywhere, a divine thread woven into the fabric of the universe. In many traditions, breathing with awareness is seen as a way to connect with the energy of creation. One of the foundational practices of pranayama is nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. It is said to cleanse the energy channels, or nadis, within the body, ensuring that prana flows freely. Imagine these nadis as rivers. Over time, they can become blocked with debris, much like how stagnant thoughts and emotions can clog our inner world. Through nadi shodhana, you begin to clear these pathways, allowing energy to move with grace and harmony. When you practice this technique, it's not just your body that feels lighter. Your mind begins to quiet, and your connection to the divine deepens. It's as if the noise of the world fades away, leaving only the gentle hum of your true essence. This is the power of intentional breath. It cuts through the chaos and brings you home to yourself. There is an old Indian story about a sage who was asked by his disciples, "What is the most sacred sound?" The sage closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and exhaled slowly. "This," he said, "the sound of the breath. It is the first sound you make when you are born and the last sound you make when you leave this world. In it lies the secret of life." This story reminds us that breath is sacred. It is not something to be taken for granted or rushed through. When you slow down and breathe with intention, you enter into a dialogue with the divine. Every inhale becomes an act of receiving, and every exhale an act of surrender. This rhythm mirrors the cycles of nature, the tides of the ocean, the waxing and waning of the moon, and the rise and fall of the sun. In addition to nadi shodhana, other pranayama techniques like Bhastrika, bellows breath, and Ujjayi, victorious breath, serve different purposes. Bhastrika ignites the inner fire, energizing the body and mind. It's often likened to stoking a flame, awakening dormant energy and fueling your spirit. On the other hand, Ujjayi breath is calming, resembling the soothing sound of ocean waves. It brings a sense of peace and clarity, grounding you in the present moment. Even outside of formal pranayama, cultures around the world have understood the transformative power of breath. In Taoism, breath is seen as a vehicle for qi, the life force that flows through all living things. Taoist practitioners use specific breathing techniques to harmonize with the Tao, the universal flow of energy. Similarly, indigenous traditions often incorporate breathwork into rituals and ceremonies, recognizing it as a sacred tool for connecting with the spirit world. Science, too, has begun to catch up with what these ancient traditions have always known. Studies show that deep, mindful breathing can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and even alter brain wave patterns. moving you from states of anxiety into relaxation and focus. This is not just about physical health. It is about aligning with a deeper sense of well-being, one that connects mind, body, and spirit. But what happens when external forces disrupt our breath? When fear tightens our chest or anger quickens our pulse? This is where the practice becomes essential. Learning to control your breath means learning to control your energy, no matter what life throws at you. It is a reminder that while you cannot always change the circumstances around you, you can always choose how you respond. A beautiful example of this comes from the teachings of the Buddha. When asked how he remained so serene in the face of suffering, the Buddha said, "I am like the ocean. Storms may rage on the surface, but in the depths, there is calm." Breath is what allows us to access those depths and to anchor ourselves in the stillness that exists beyond the turbulence of everyday life. One practical way to cultivate this calm is through diaphragmatic breathing, also known as belly breathing. Unlike shallow chest breathing, which can trigger the body's stress response, belly breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling to the body that it is safe to relax. It is a simple yet profound way to reclaim your energy and reconnect with your divine power. Another practice to consider is simply pausing throughout your day to take a few conscious breaths. You don't need a quiet room or a special ritual, just a moment of awareness. Close your eyes, inhale deeply through your nose, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Feel the air entering your body, filling your lungs and releasing. In those few seconds, you are reminded of your connection to something greater. The breath is a gift, a constant companion and teacher. It shows us that life is not a race to the next destination, but a series of moments to be fully lived. Each breath is an opportunity to realign, to reset, to return to the energy that sustains us. As you explore the power of pranayama and other breathing techniques, remember this: the divine is not something outside of you. It is the very essence of the air you breathe, the stillness between each inhale and exhale. When you honor your breath, you honor the sacred energy within, and in doing so, you activate the power to shape not just your reality but the reality of the world around you. Divine power through service. Without a doubt, one of the most profound ways to activate your divine power is through service. When you serve others, you shift your focus from the self to the whole. This doesn't mean neglecting your needs. It means recognizing that your well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others. Service opens your heart, and through that open heart, divine energy flows effortlessly. Think of Mother Teresa, who dedicated her life to serving the poorest of the poor. She once said, "I'm a little pencil in the hand of a writing God who is sending a love letter to the world." Mother Teresa didn't see herself as separate from the divine. She saw herself as an instrument of it. Her life reminds us that when you align with divine power, you become a vessel for love and transformation in the world. Divine power is also activated through intention. Your thoughts and beliefs shape your energy, and your energy shapes your reality. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of mindfulness. When you set an intention, you are directing your energy toward a specific outcome. But it's not enough to merely think about what you want. You must feel it in your body, act as though it's already true, and trust in the timing of the universe. These historical figures didn't just stumble upon divine power. They actively cultivated it through their thoughts, actions, and choices. Their lives are reminders that this power is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to all of us. It requires faith, perseverance, and an open heart, but the rewards are immeasurable. The mystic's words are a call to action. What will you do with the spark that already lives within you? Will you let it remain dormant, or will you tend to it like a flame, letting its light guide you toward a life of deeper purpose and transformation? The choice is yours, and it is the most powerful choice you will ever make. Activating divinity. When you activate your divine power, you begin to see the world differently. Challenges become opportunities for growth, and obstacles transform into stepping stones. You realize that you are not separate from the divine. You are an expression of it. When you live from this place of truth, you have the ability to not only shift your reality but to inspire others to do the same. The sacred secrets to activating your divine power are not hidden. They are waiting for you in the stillness of your breath, the wisdom of your heart, and the courage of your soul. By aligning with these truths, you awaken to the infinite potential within you. And as you awaken, you begin to transform not just your life but the world around you. When you activate your divine power, challenges transform in ways that feel almost magical. What once seemed insurmountable becomes a stepping stone, an invitation to grow, and a chance to uncover the strength you didn't know you had. This transformation happens because your perspective shifts. You no longer see challenges as punishment or misfortune. Instead, you recognize them as divine teachings sent to refine you. Take the example of a seed buried in the soil. To grow into a towering tree, it must first push through the darkness and resistance of the earth. The seed doesn't resent the struggle. It embraces it because the process of breaking through strengthens its roots and prepares it for the elements it will face above ground. Similarly, when you activate your divine power, you begin to see challenges as the soil in which your spiritual potential takes root. This perspective shift is deeply tied to the concept of resilience, which has been celebrated in spiritual traditions for centuries. In Hindu philosophy, there's the idea of tapas, a Sanskrit word that refers to the heat generated by discipline and struggle. Tapas is the fire that purifies and strengthens the soul, helping you shed old patterns and emerge renewed. When you encounter a challenge, it is your tapas, the inner fire of your divine power, that burns away fear and doubt, allowing clarity and wisdom to take their place. Consider the life of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years imprisoned under brutal conditions, yet he emerged not as a man consumed by bitterness, but as a symbol of forgiveness and unity. Mandela's story is a testament to the idea that divine power allows you to transcend suffering and transform it into something meaningful. His time in prison, though grueling, became the crucible in which his vision for a free and united South Africa was forged. He didn't let the walls of his cell define him. Instead, he used that time to deepen his inner connection to the divine source of hope and purpose. When you activate your divine power, you also gain a sense of trust in the timing and flow of life. Instead of resisting difficulties, you learn to flow with them, understanding that every challenge carries a hidden gift. This is beautifully illustrated in the Chinese philosophy of Taoism, which teaches us to align with the Tao, the natural flow of the universe. Challenges, according to Taoist thought, are not obstacles but redirections, guiding us toward alignment with our highest self. Imagine you lose a job that you thought was your life's calling. At first, it feels like the end of the world, but when you activate your divine power, you approach the situation differently. You take a moment to breathe, connect with the quiet wisdom within you, and ask what this experience is here to teach you. Maybe it's an invitation to pursue a dream you've long ignored. Maybe it's the push you need to start a business or to explore talents you never had time to develop. What seemed like a closed door reveals itself as an open window to a new life. Challenges also test and refine your faith, making it stronger. In the Bible, the story of David and Goliath serves as a timeless example of this. David, a young shepherd with no formal training, faced the mighty giant Goliath armed with nothing but a slingshot and his unwavering faith in divine power. To the world, David's odds seemed impossible, yet he triumphed because he trusted in a power greater than his own fear. His victory wasn't just a physical one. It was a spiritual triumph that showed how divine power turns the impossible into reality. On a more personal level, activating your divine power helps you rewrite the story you tell yourself about challenges. Instead of seeing them as evidence of failure, you begin to see them as proof of your growth. Every stumble becomes a lesson, every setback an opportunity to reassess and redirect. This shift in mindset is crucial because it allows you to approach challenges not with dread, but with curiosity and confidence. Take the story of Helen Keller, who lost her sight and hearing at a young age. For many, this would have been a life sentence of limitations. But Keller, guided by her divine connection and the belief that she could overcome, turned her challenges into a platform for advocacy and inspiration. She once said, "Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it." Her life is a testament to how activating your divine power allows you to move beyond survival and into a space of thriving, no matter the circumstances. Another profound example comes from Buddhist teachings on impermanence. The Buddha taught that everything in life is fleeting, both joy and pain. When you truly internalize this, challenges lose their grip on you. You no longer feel trapped by a difficult moment because you understand it is just that, a moment. This understanding frees you to engage with challenges as temporary opportunities for growth rather than permanent setbacks. When you activate your divine power, you also awaken the ability to co-create with the universe. Challenges then become collaborative efforts, where you and the divine work together to bring about transformation. Think of it like sculpting. The divine provides the raw material and your experiences, the challenges, are the tools that carve you into a masterpiece. Without the chiseling, the sculpture remains hidden. The divine power within you remains dormant. Finally, it's important to recognize that challenges build empathy. When you overcome adversity, you gain a deeper understanding of the struggles of others. This empathy becomes a source of connection, allowing you to use your divine power not just for your own growth, but for the healing and upliftment of those around you. In this way, your challenges ripple outward, transforming not only your life but the lives of others. The truth is that challenges are not here to break you. They are here to wake you up to the infinite potential that lies within. When you activate your divine power, you don't just survive challenges. You transcend them, using them as fuel for your journey toward the extraordinary. Through every trial, you grow stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the truth of who you are. A powerful divine being capable of shifting your reality and inspiring others to do the same.